Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Throwdown for the week of November 21st, 2020. I'm Caleb Black. This is Luke the Big Dog Williams. I've done that.
There is an S on my last name. We've known each other for over 20 years.
That's our in-studio producer, the mighty Max Fury. And it is
That's
time.
Max with 2 X's, just in case anyone's wondering. He left the third one off.
But not with 2 R's, because then it'd be Max Furry.
He could be Maze. You never know.
We are talking. It is our superstar spotlight, and given that it has been 30 years, the longest ride for the dead man, it's only fitting, with tomorrow being Survivor Series, that we highlight The Undertaker.
Correct.
Who better?
There's no S on the end of his name.
There is not. The Undertaker is an icon in the business, has been a part of the WWE Universe for 30 years, has held the WWE Championship numerous times at various stages in his career, 2 world title reigns on the latter end of his career, as a matter of fact, winning his first world title against Hulk Hogan, winning another world championship against Stone Cold Steve Austin, winning another world championship against Dave Bautista, winning a world championship against Edge, winning a world championship every single where he goes for the last 30 years because he's the dead man. Also, the WrestleMania streak, the most iconic of winning streaks in history, went 21-1 at WrestleMania, losing to Brock Lesnar in the finale in the last act. Outside of that, his contributions to the WWE, his loyalty, his longevity, his legitimate toughness, with 3 fractured ribs on one of the longest, most brutal tours they had in the WWF, at the peak of their career, took a flak jacket, duct taped it to his body, and went to work. Got set on fire before the Survivor Series match.
Also, Sting broke 3 bones in his neck with
came back with all 3.
No, his day is the way of being able to change personalities over the years.
And still
going from the dead man to the American Badass to the Ministry to the kind of hybrid we have now to the hybrid of all of them now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kept himself relevant. He has stayed in touch with his fans over all these years, which you can't say in the wrestling business. People are so fickle that it's hard to say that.
Yeah.
When it comes to a main level match, in my recollection, when I think back of all of the top matches in professional wrestling since I've been alive, Undertaker is a member of probably 2 of the top 5 of all time.
And both of them he won against Shawn Michaels.
One of them is...
It's the first one, WrestleMania 25.
Flawless.
Yeah.
Second one had a hiccup, but the first one, flawless.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't... the tag team, the Brothers of Destruction, him and Kane.
Not to mention his elevating of other talent in the business. Kane primarily came up quite literally on the side of The Undertaker.
Not to mention probably one of the best storylines
The most epic storyline ever told in pro wrestling.
Yes.
Second only to Sting versus The NWO. Is Kane versus The Undertaker.
Yeah, the only difference between that is, though, Kane and The Undertaker had a finish that you could be respected, and Sting and the NWO had
that I agree with.
Also, the thing is you can't revisit Sting versus the NWO because there is no NWO. You can revisit Sting and Undertaker and Kane
for 1,000 years.
Anytime you want.
Yeah. His elevating of other talents. Making sure that the new top guys were seasoned, prepared, his looking after and holding the locker room as a ring general for all of his career. The judge of the wrestling court, the most respected member of the roster, and was unafraid to speak his mind, speak his piece, and put wrestlers in their place when they deserved it.
His ability to turn a crowd at the drop of a hat. Yep. Like when he speaks into a microphone, it's gimmicked.
Yeah.
And it's
the dead man talking. And it's rest in
but
peace.
You listen.
Yeah.
He makes you listen with everything he says and anything. One of the best things I remember from The Undertaker, honestly, it was we talked about it in the prior video with the 2/21/11 stuff that they did. When he come out that night.
Yeah, as The Undertaker.
And The Undertaker comes out, and then Triple H interrupts him and comes out, and they both look at each other, and then the Taker just looks up at the sign.
Yeah.
And then Triple H looks up at the sign. Money.
And that was one of the... they didn't say a word. They had a stare down. They hit the sign. Boom, marquee. And that's the tail end. This is how awesome this creative process is. This story, everybody thinks, it was just, it went on the 4 years that it was the 2 Michaels matches and the 2 Triple H matches. That's not true. They laid the seeds of that match at Unforgiven in 2005.
Yes.
When before WrestleMania, was it No Mercy 2005 or No Way Out? One of the two. It was Undertaker and Dave Bautista versus Shawn Michaels and John Cena in the main event. And to build up to that match, Shawn Michaels tells The Undertaker, "You and I are the last two outlaws left. We're cut from the same cloth, and at the end of the day, you know it's going to be you and me, but right now I got the kid." Beautiful promo, and that's where it starts. Lead in to the Rumble eliminations that are 2 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to the first Michaels match. Then you get to the retirement match. Then you get to Triple H in the singles match.
And then you get
to the end of an era Hell in a Cell. All of the time that Taker would take with all of his stories to make them special, to make them legitimate. That's a lost art in wrestling.
Not to mention The Undertaker single-handedly, in my opinion, I could be wrong. I've been wrong at least twice before in my life. Him and Yokozuna.
Yeah.
The build for Yokozuna with the casket match.
Yep.
We never got the payoff that I think we deserved for that.
No.
Because we got the casket match again in Survivor Series with Chuck Norris and all that. You never really got the payoff of The Undertaker and Yoko.
No.
But that first casket match, where it took 27 different fucking heels to put him in that casket, was fantastic. But then when he come back from that, he come back to wrestle the other Undertaker.
Yeah. Which I actually didn't hate.
The match was great.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Let's talk about Undertaker and Jake Roberts. Built it for a year. Long, slow.
Well, they started out as buddies messing with the Macho Man.
Yeah, and never attacked each other, and then eventually it just implodes. Longevity in wrestling is important. Long storytelling is important. And again, The Undertaker's the best guy.
Do you remember the turn?
The heel turn?
The face turn
The face
Taker in that program with Jake Roberts. It is so unordinary, or so it just so unexpected from The Undertaker.
Okay,
that happened.
Go on.
Macho Man beats. Who did he beat?
Who did he ever beat?
I want to say Roberts.
I'm not sure.
He beat somebody. Flair. He beats Flair. He's getting ready to come back through the curtain. It is a Coliseum home video exclusive. It was not shown on Raw. Was not shown on Prime Time. None of that. Jake Roberts is waiting on the other side of the curtain for the Macho Man to come through with a chair.
Yeah.
I'm going to take him out. This is it. This is it. Elizabeth gets in front of the Macho Man to come through the curtain.
That's right.
And he rears back to hit her with it, and the Undertaker grabs the chair and yanks it away from him, and that was the turn for the Undertaker.
And that's what stops it.
Simple.
Yeah. That's right.
And then 21-year streak. Which, do you remember who the first person to fall to the Undertaker at WrestleMania was?
Oh, man. Was it Kamala?
Nope.
It wasn't DiBiase.
Nope.
Fuck, I know this. Hold on a minute.
We talked about him earlier.
Talked about him earlier.
Max did.
Snuka?
Yep. WrestleMania 7.
I thought Snuka was the second guy.
Nope.
No, because that was
Jake.
Jake
was the second.
So yeah. Snuka.
He beat Snuka, and the only reason I remember it in my head, and it's going to be the weirdest thing to remember why I remember it. I remember Snuka going up for the tombstone, and Snuka was wearing boots.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, why is Snuka wearing boots? He never wore boots.
And they never made a big deal about the streak until it hit 12.
That's because no one noticed.
Nobody noticed until there was the build-up for Randy Orton and Taker. And I actually remember the promo behind it. It was right after they set up for Batista and Triple H. And there's a program with superstar Billy Graham and Randy Orton in the back. And Billy Graham puts himself over, blah, blah, blah. And Orton's holding this magazine. And he's listening to Billy Graham because he asked Billy Graham, what can I do to make myself a superstar? Or do something, whatever it is. Billy Graham walks away, and Orton goes, you know what? I think you're right. And he sets the magazine down, and it was WWE's WrestleMania magazine featuring The Undertaker 12-0.
Yeah.
And the build to that was great. It's Kane showing up and telling Randy he's never going to be the same. And then they take off. And
wasn't that the Jake the Snake Roberts promo where Orton drops him with the RKO?
Yes. Yeah. And from there on, that's when they start marqueeing the streak. And it became, for a long time, I mean, it was as integral to WrestleMania as the world title matches were.
It was more important.
I agree.
WrestleMania
I totally
than the title was.
And had the Undertaker not had a concussion, he would have remembered to kick out against Brock, and the streak would have continued.
Did you know that the Undertaker holds the mystique of being the very first ever match that headlined WrestleMania that wasn't for a championship?
It was Taker and Michaels, wasn't it? Yeah, main event.
It was the first time that in WrestleMania history that the title wasn't the main event.
Because they blew their load. The audience blew their load on the match the previous year.
That's why I went main event.
Everybody was like, we're not fucking following that again.
Actually, what was actually said was, because it was the retirement match for Michaels,
yeah,
there were people legitimately were like, we're not going on afterwards. Like, you can make the card all you want, Vince, you run the show, but we're not
doing that.
Either they're the main event, period.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the very next year you had or not the very next year, but you had Rock and Cena.
Yeah.
Who, the first time they wrestled each other wasn't for the title.
No.
I mean, but yeah, Undertaker and Michaels have the distinction of being the very first ever main event for a WrestleMania match. Not someone's going to fact check me, so I'm going to point this out. Bam Bam Bigelow and Lawrence Taylor does not count.
No, because it wasn't a match.
It was not two wrestlers.
Yeah.
It does not count.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But and believe me, they wish it didn't count either. But yeah, Undertaker, Michaels. I mean, now that the Undertaker's leaving and Michaels is done, somebody's got to step up.
It's got to be Bray Wyatt.
It's got to be the
Fiend. It's got to be Bray Wyatt. It's time to take your place, son.
Yep.
Take your place.
But yes.
Guys, that's going to cover us up for our Undertaker Deep Dive Superstar Spotlight, whatever we're calling this video. All about the Taker. I'm the biggest Taker fan in the world. I make no apologies for that.
I know, it makes me sick.
Tell us some of your favorite Undertaker moments.
Before we go. If Sting wrestles Taker, he's going Sting. There's no doubt in my mind.
Oh, you can't do that to me.
Sure I can.
You can't put me in that type of
me.
Position.
Fuck you. I'll do it to you. And you know what? I just want to be in the... I won't even watch the match. I'm a wrestling fan. I want to see this match for a long time. I won't even watch the match. I will watch him the whole time he's watching the match. Because you know what? That's the one we should do a live stream on, because people are going to watch you laugh and cry if they will think you're out of your mind.
It'll never happen unless Sting challenges.
You know who should be the opponent?
Night. Who?
Sting.
Shut up. Guys, that's going to wrap us up. Let us know some of your favorite Undertaker moments down in the comments below. After you like and subscribe, send us an email at prowrestlingthrowdown@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/prowrestlingthrowdown. Follow us on Twitter at prowrestlingtd. And don't forget to tune in every Saturday at 12:30 on our live stream at twitch.com/prowrestlingthrowdown. Stay tuned. We got more videos coming your way.
Videos!